Morning. Call this meeting to order of the Broadwater Commissioners on Monday, July 24th, 2017. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public comment. Do we have public? Go ahead.
Hi, Craig Burns. So for the last year, I've been kind of auditing, poking at your guys' sheriff budget until you took my children away from me in February, literally. I have told you that I'm filing a claim. I'd like you guys, the commission, to have this information regarding this case. Since secrecy seems to be a weapon of this county, I would like this entire process to be open so that everybody knows exactly what happened, that Corey Swanson took my children away from me, did not allow me to communicate with them for 4 months, nor my mother for 3 months. And while I was literally kicking and screaming here at the commission meetings, as well as at the sheriff, asking to see my children, I got no response from anybody. And nobody really knows what to think about it, because it shows that you guys have a power that's beyond the state of Montana. I mean, beyond the federal government, really. Nobody from the state can answer the question of what annotated statute was used in order to take my children. Nobody. The federal government can't. In fact, you'll see from the emails, everything has been centered down to Corey Swanson answering the question of what he did, and he can't. His answer is an umbrella, I do what I want, as he has. And for that reason, me and my mother and other citizens of this county have decided to begin the recall of Corey Swanson. I think it's appropriate. He's unhinged. He's a rogue county attorney. He's nothing like the county attorney before him. And it's this violation of Broadwater County citizens' rights has to end at some point. And I believe it's with the recall of Corey Swanson. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Ring hold.
Yes.
Anyway, in answer to him, Corey Swanson's 3 times the man that boss he was. Anyway, I'm here about the hospital.
Says Dwayne.
The $1 million loan. I think that is a crock of bull. The hospital's an independent business. If it can't go to the bank and get the loan, then why is the county getting it for them? I don't understand that. I think it's time we get an administrator in there that knows how to run it, not the one we got. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, commission, excuse me. Mike Conkey is my name. You guys know Matt. Last Thursday we had an LEPC meeting, and during that meeting we discussed our wildfire evacuation guidance, and we made a recommendation to update it. Broadwater County, under the previous sheriff, had a 5-step evacuation process, and we've recommended 2 steps. If you go to page 2,
I think I got 2.
that's right. Page 2, it says local evacuation process. What's underlined on page 2 and page 3 is the new material. And this is quite a timely issue right now, with the governor declaring an emergency for wildland fire. And we've had quite a few fires in Broadwater County. Our firefighters have done an excellent job, as well as the sheriff's office, responding to those. I think we may have more fire, and I just want to bring this to your attention. This document here is evacuation guidance, which we usually turn over to like we have a large fire incident. We have a large incident management team come in, and we tell them this is our procedure for evacuation. You can review this sometime if you want to. I just wanted to get it to you this morning during public comment. I didn't have an opportunity to get on the agenda. It just talks about the scope, how we use unified command. Population protection is a shared responsibility between local government and fire resources and private citizens. Talks about evacuation authority and management, our process, evacuation process. Stay in demand. We do not recommend that, but it's allowed in our county. That's been our policy since the 2000 fire season. And the access and re-entry authority rests with the sheriff and the incident commander. Anyway, I just want to bring it to your attention. This is kind of an important document. Hope we don't have any large wildfires. And any questions for me from the commission?
You know, it looks like you've been hard at it.
Any questions from the general public? Everybody get a copy of this? Okay, yes, sir, Bill.
If we've created a survivable space, can we get someone from the county to come out and look and say, yeah, this is good, or
Yes.
here's our recommendation?
Yes, you sure can. That's Ed Schindel, rural fire chief. He's been trained to do those evaluations.
Okay.
And there's also funding available through Tri-County Fire Work Safe Group. I think it's a 50 match, 50 landowner, 50, well, I think we got some federal funds to help defer those costs. Ed's the one to call. And you can call him at the fire department, or his cell number is 949-5535. He's one of our partners, works real close with Ed on this, and we've actually, the fire department's done an excellent job. They have been running 2 fires a day, chasing smoke, some real fire. So far, we got them all out in our county. We've got a lot of mutual aid assisted. You got a big fire over there at White Sulphur Springs, the Chin Fire. I think it's up to about 4,000 acres. And that's just south of the 9 Mile Y. That's the smoke you call them if you've seen them there. Any questions? Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Commissioner.
Dwayne, in response to that, at 10:30, there's gonna be more information on this THS and the, go ahead.
Ron Saladay, resident of River Road. I came from Minnesota here. You are rifling its mosquito population. We need some spraying out in our area. It's horrible.
I'd say, contact Scott Dunning, he's the coordinator. I don't have his,
Is there a phone number?
yeah, you, or his phone number, Mike?
No, I don't have.
980-1063.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other public comment? Any, community reports? The minutes?
I do have one. I was waiting to see if anyone else did. I did attend the auxiliary board meeting. We're working on the community picnic, the Sunday of the fair and rodeo. Board of Health we had last week. And we are working on dinner and a movie to play the resilience movie for our kids and families and anyone who has any experience or wants to know more about ACEs training or childhood adverse experiences. We had Eric Bryson here from MACO, Montana Association of Counties, and he's going to be doing a county assessment for us. That is free of charge, just to give us an idea of what we need to plan for in the future with future growth. Slice of Summer was a hit this past week, and we did have a community development meeting. And that's about it.
I attended the health board meeting, the local emergency planning committee, and the mosquito board meeting, and also talked with Eric Bryson.
Yeah, I did about the same, and it took, I don't know, I never kept count of the phone calls. The minutes as sent out, is there any additions or corrections?
We have to approve as submitted.
I'll second.
Maybe a second to accept the minutes as mailed. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Look at the schedule here, we'll go through a claim here, this is, payroll in the amount of $209,992, 229 cents.
I'll make a motion paying the claim is now quoted.
Second.
Move to second to pay the claims in amount of $209,992.29. Any discussion? No discussion, we'll go to a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. This is a receipt showing that $250,000 was pulled out of our CD funds to put in the cash reserves. DEQ wastewater treatment facility for Bridger Bowl. Another one from DEQ, the city of Bozeman, Lyman Creek Water Treatment Plant. We're just a couple minutes ahead of schedule. WWC Engineering, Deep Creek Bridge Project, bid recommendation, decision. You have the floor.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, oh, never mind, I guess we can go in any order.
There's 7 copies of that, and then this is a draft letter. So basically what I just handed out was a bid tabulation of all 3 bids. There were no mistakes, which is good. All 3 had the appropriate documentation. The apparent low bidder was Battle Ridge Builders. I have included a draft recommendation letter. As stated last week, all the information has been submitted to FEMA. We need to wait until they've authorized that to issue that notice of award. So that's why that is draft on that piece right now. Hey, Brad.
Hey, Sean, how you doing?
Good. We've also had a chance to look into, to verify Battle Ridge, just make sure, you know, they don't have any claims against them, verify the references. That's still pending a few things to verify, so again, why that memo is draft. But we have worked with them on a couple of projects and found them to be a pretty responsible contractor. I anticipate those things will come out, but I'd like to verify those in full before we actually present a notice of award. Included with those materials is a draft letter to all 3 contractors, kind of letting them know what happened with the bids, and also that, you know, we're on hold pending the FEMA approval, and just getting that out there in writing for them, so.
What do you estimate it'll be before FEMA makes a decision? Hard
You
to
know,
say.
I think minimum is 2 weeks, it could take up to 4. I think it probably depends on how many questions. The nice thing about it is we've at least opened a line of communication directly with that FEMA reviewer between WWC and them. And so hopefully we can facilitate communication and not have to go through DES and all those proper, you know, channels.
So,
And that, of course, we'll keep everybody in the loop on communication, but
yeah, so it, better than months, but
yeah.
is it the urgency to them, so we?
They do
Much
understand the
else is done.
urgency, absolutely, and they understand where this project is and what the schedule is. So I'm hopeful that they'll put it high on their priority list.
Shirley Wilson, I have a question for you, sir. Do you know projected date on Clopton and duration of downtime?
That's a very good question. Once we get the award, we will have a scheduling meeting. And it's my understanding, of course Dana's not here, but we'll be getting with all the landowners and letting you all know kind of what that schedule is, so you can prepare for that and have a little time. But yeah, that one's,
On Clopton that need to be transported.
yeah, that one's, I know it's difficult, cause it's one way in, one way out, and you gotta go clear around Grayson Creek if you're on the other side, so.
Right.
We understand that, and we'll give you as much heads up and try to facilitate that as quickly as possible.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions for Sean? Okay, well, thanks for coming down and keeping us informed.
You bet, and as we get any word from FEMA, of course, we'll give you an immediate heads up on that. Begin the contracting with the contractor notice of award.
Be in contact with them right away.
You bet, and get that going. So in the meantime, we'll keep that communication open with the apparent low bidder, just make sure that they're, still okay. I did, when we were out at the pre-bid meeting, I gave them all a heads up, this was gonna happen, so they know it's what's going on, so they're prepared.
Hey,
Okay.
Sean, there's a number of federal agencies right now where we're dealing with interim leadership, so things have kind of been halted or they're in flux. Is that an issue for FEMA?
I don't think so. As far as I know, their head's still intact as far as the head of their department. Really what happened here is, it's just been, again, such a long process and such a lot of information submitted back and forth that, and then we had a reviewer change from internally within FEMA. And so they're just trying to make sure that all the ducks are lined up, which is good for them and all of us, right? To make sure everything's there. And that's what's kind of taking the time, but we should be, the politics shouldn't impact this project at all. Cross your fingers.
Right, yeah, thanks.
I can't say that definitively, but it doesn't look like that's gonna be the case.
Any more questions for Sean? Well, thank you, like I say, for getting down here and keeping us informed. We'll wait till we hear from you.
Absolutely, we'll keep you in the loop.
Okay, thanks again.
Yep.
Take care.
Go through a few more claims we're a little ahead of schedule.
Bernadette have the COS.
Oh, yeah, yes, sir. I skipped over that. COS?
Good morning.
Morning.
I have one COS for you this morning. This is for Stanley Home in the northern end of the county. And along the railroad here. He owns a large parcel here. He's creating a parcel for his son, and he's also creating a parcel for a family cemetery plot.
So this is a family transfer.
Yes, a family transfer in the cemetery
All right.
plot.
I will move to support the family transfer and cemetery plot.
I'll second.
Move a second to accept the family transfer for.
Stanley Home.
Any more discussion? No more discussion, we'll go for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
And there's two slips because family transfers on one and a cemetery's on the other.
That's probably the first for quite a while for a family cemetery, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, do they have to go through state approval to have that, or?
That I
Cemetery.
don't know.
Yeah.
That'll, yeah. I'm not sure.
I
We
just-
can create their little plot and then I guess it's up to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
don't
know.
know.
State
That's a
law.
good question. Thank you.
Thanks, Bernadette.
Thank you. Claim here for approved claims that for the amount of $42,152.48.
I'll move to approve, or pay the approved claims in the stated amount of 42,152.48.
I'll second.
Move to second, pay claims in the amount of $42,152.48. Any more discussion? No discussion, we'll go to a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Verizon showing Commissioner card name. This is same as CenturyLink there. We have a claim of accounting for another approved list. This is $133,679.14.
I'll make the motion, pay the claims and go with the merit.
Second.
Moved to second, pay claims on $133,679.14. Any discussion? No discussion, go to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Northern County Health Services, it's Medicare eligibility, rules and behavior. We provide medical eligibility for clients who comply with the guidelines outlined in the Medicare Equity Transaction System requires rule of behavior. Your organization as elected to perform Medicare eligibility inquiries through Valley RCM without medical claims being submitted through Valley RCM. We expect that information returned to Medicare from these inquiries will only be used for the business of Medicare outlined by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Please be aware that the violating the guidelines outlined by CMS can lead to serious legal consequences. CMS defines authorized use of eligibility information.
Yeah, we need to make a motion to abide by their rules and regulations for Medicare. And this is for our public health department.
I'll make the motion to sign this to abide by the rules, regulations of the health department.
of Medicare
Of
for
Medicare.
the health department. I'll second the motion.
Move and second to basically abide by the rules of the Medicaid system. Any discussion, more discussion, go to a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Northwest Energy Senior Citizen. Northwest Energy, which is the Cypress Campground. Here's from Rob Peasant Association, just to keep up, that's our file, so just pass it on to.
Actually, send that back to the chairman to go ahead and file. We addressed it last week. Couple of minutes away, move on here. Towns and health systems, funding for right-sized critical access hospital and nursing home. Go ahead. Kyle, who's spokesman?
These are the legal documents. I want to get those prepared for all three of you. I think you've seen them, but I want to put that together for you. We're just here to ask for approval of, I think there's 5 loan documents in there. And working with Commissioner Mike on how that would be framed. And essentially, it'd be $1 million loan, but only the first 750,000 would be approached, and 250 would be held back, hopefully not to be used. There's a trust indenture. We do have the chairman of the district board and vice chair here, Hugh and Vic, and as well as board members from the THC and employees from THC as well. So I guess I just, if there's any fine tuning that needs to be done, our legal counsel, Stuart Kirkpatrick, is available to work with Corey. I think in principle we've laid out what generally was discussed. Try to answer questions, if there are any.
Any questions, comments?
Isn't that hospital a private business?
Pardon me?
Isn't the hospital a private business?
The hospital is in property and land are owned by the county.
I don't care, is it a private business?
We have no ability to borrow or collateralize because it is a county-owned facility. We have a 501c3 organization that operates the building and the day-to-day functions. Then there's a district board that is there to represent funneling any monies from the county or the mill levies. So you have to have two of those structures to operate. And a long time ago, it was chosen to have a operational board, Townsend Health System Board, operate on a functional basis the operations of the facility. So no, it's not a private facility. It's owned by the county.
Then why isn't the county getting any money out of it?
Well, the county actually has to decide how they benefit, and so.
Benefit? What do you mean benefit? It's a Band-Aid station. That's all it is.
I'm sorry you feel that way, but
Well, I know, I'm telling the truth.
I'm sorry you feel that way, but we have several people who are alive today taken
Yeah.
care of in the emergency room. It's not a Band-Aid station.
That's
And
what it
we've
is.
been complimented several times by referring centers on the care that people received in that emergency room that actually saved their life.
Yeah,
So-
well,
It's not a Band-Aid station.
that's about what it amounts to. Most of the time, the ambulances are going to Helmet. And they're taking them to St. Pete's. We've got doctors here, but they're on one-year contracts. You don't renew their contracts. How do you expect people to be with the doctors?
Well, actually,
You can't gain a trust.
we probably have the best medical staff assembly that we ever have had. And we're really proud of how that, and the job that they do.
That's what you said 5 years ago. And I don't believe a word you say. I think it's time we replace you, get somebody in there that knows how to run a business, and get it done.
I have, this is an email I sent to be read from Broadwater County Commissioners. Please read MCA 7-72101, 7-72102, 7-72103, 7-7-242. Prior to considering the legality and desire to become involved in a loan of $1 million to the hospital at your 7/24/17 meeting. MCA 7-7-2101, limitation on amount of county indebtedness. A county may not issue bonds nor incur other indebtedness for any purpose in an amount including existing indebtedness. That in the agent exceeds 2.5% of the total assessed value of taxable property, determined as provided in 15-8-111, within the county as asserted by the last assessment for state and county taxes. MCA 7-7-2102, effective exceeding limits on indebtedness. All bonds or obligations in excess of such amount given by, on or behalf of the county are void. MCA 7-7-2103, restriction on use of county credit by private persons. No county shall ever give or loan its credit in aid of, or to make any donation or grant by subsidy or otherwise to any individual, association, or corporation, or become a subscriber to or a shareholder in any company or corporation, or a joint owner with any person, company, or corporation. MCA 7-72402, election required to borrow money exemptions. First, exempt as provided in subsection 4. The Board of County Commissioners may not borrow money for any of the purposes mentioned in this title, or for any single purpose in any amount exceeding the limits set in section 2. Without A, first submitting to the questionable loan to vote of the electors of the county, and B, obtaining the approval of a majority of the county. The state official website lists Broadwater County's assessed valuation at $14,619,082 times by .025 equals $365,477 equals total allowed indebtedness, without first having an election to receive and approve of the majority of the electorate. I urge every citizen to read these list statutes and decide for themselves. Is this how we want the county to do business? Herb Ardenbright. Shirley?
I have several questions. How old is a bill before it's non-collectible? Is billing current? And does that cash flow warrant this loan?
Are you talking about cash flow to the hospital?
Yes, sir.
You know, we make every effort to provide a payment opportunity for a patient. And that fluctuates depending on their ability to pay, number one. I'm sorry, what were the next two questions?
I asked if all billing was current and how old a bill is before it is non-collectible.
Again, that's determined through our credit collection agency. We sit down and try to work out a deal any way we can with the patient, make sure they're paid. So it can be extended. It's many times case-by-case basis.
Is there a point at which it is non-collectible because of time passed?
If we go through 6 months and there's no response from an individual, we'll send that to the credit collection.
Go ahead.
But it could be paid off over years, right?
Yes.
They could keep paying.
If the current payments are being made, yes.
May I add some more to answer questions? Currently, we're running about 65 days billing outstanding. That's a more specific answer to your question. That's an average of all the bills. When we first came on the board, it was in terrible shape and bills weren't even going out for 6 months. So a lot of time has been spent on getting bills accurate and timely and then collecting. We still have issues with the part of the, I'm trying to think, non-compensated care, which is a definition of those who can't pay, because we're legally required to take those people, and the people who won't pay, which, as Mr. Hopp said, goes to collection after a point of time. So, but 65 days billing outstanding is where we average typically between 60 and 70.
Okay.
Corey, oh, go ahead.
Dwayne Holm, wouldn't it be better for the county, cheaper and more in the future, if they gave that building to them and said, here you go, now go get your own? You're a private business, we give it to you, we're done. It would be more profitable for the county, and I'm sure the hospital would be out of business in 2 years.
Bill Curtis, the hospital is not a private business. The building is owned by the county. They hire a board and an administrator to run it for the community. There's no profit to any, of course you pay salaries, so there really isn't. So it is a county hospital managed for the county.
Corey, go ahead. No, just, I already recognized Corey, I'll get you
Well,
next.
mine will take a while, so.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. He says-
Mine won't. Tony Simpson. I'm not up to speed with what the loan will be used for. Can you just explain that?
We're basically looking for a bridge loan to right-size our facility and transition into a 25-bed critical access hospital. There's a period of time that when you make that transition, there's a delay of payment on Medicare's side, anywhere from 3 to 6 months. So we need that transitional dollars available. Plus, we just had a tough time from December till May in occupancy levels of the nursing home. And I think what it comes down to is we probably need to minimize our risk and transition those 32-bed nursing homes into about 18 to 20 skilled intermediate beds, similar to almost every combined facility in the last 15 years have done throughout the state. I think there's 6 or 7 that are still combined facilities. I mean, the market's changed, as you're well aware, from the last, from 4 or 5 years ago to where we're at today. And, you know, assisted living, home health services, hospice services, all those have had an effect on the inpatient level. Even though we're a 5-star rated facility and deficiency-free, we just have not been able to maintain the levels of service, not level of service, but level of occupancy that we needed to do to make this thing break even. And by and large, at best, it is just a break even, the 32 beds. So it's, I guess, time to face that music and make that transition. And, that still keeps us in the, if you will, resident level of care, but between 8 to 20 beds versus 18 to 20 beds versus the 32 beds. I got a little chart over here that we went over that at the last meeting, but Medicare's involvement in the current facility is about 16% of the cost, and that's only based on 60 to 80% of that 16. I know that sounds goofy, but so we really think that we need to make that transition into the 25 beds because Medicare's involvement is 100% instead of 16% of the 60% utilization or 80% that fluctuates. And if you have questions on that, I'll try to explain that. But I can show you a
One
picture.
quick question then, to follow up then, would be, what is the actual hospital Medicare, Medicaid reimbursement percentage right now? What's it running at?
Of the 16% of Medicare, it fluctuates between 60 and 80%. Of the Medicaid utilization of the nursing home, it's about 60 to 65% utilization of Medicaid.
So you would pick that up by going to the 25 bed cot?
Right.
Yeah.
Any more? Corey, why don't you go ahead?
I'll answer a few of these questions and then I'll kind of go from there. One thing that I did do is I just finished it this morning. I emailed it to you about a half hour ago, but there's 10 copies here and I can get more if anyone wants it. It's a short memo to the commissioners. So the first question that I ask is this legal? And there is a way to do this that's legally, that is legal. The proposal from the hospital was that the county basically loan the money to the district board for warrants. And number one, the county cannot loan money directly to the hospital. Number two, the county could loan money to the hospital district, but the statute requires that the hospital district has to have sufficient revenue to cover any loans that it's, to service any and repay any loans that it's going to have. Right now, the hospital district has a couple outstanding loans, and they're using their revenue from the mill levy and lease revenue actually from the hospital to pay those. I believe this is the last year of that 3-year mill levy. Is that correct? So it'll be levied. You'll in November-ish. Is that right? Will be the receipt of the funds at that time? Is that likely? Okay.
I think so.
So the hospital district to receive a loan from the county would have to show where they're gonna get the revenue to make that, to service that loan. That's not what the registered warrant idea is, that the THS had proposed. A warrant is simply an authorization to pay a bill, and the county issues warrants all the time. Any local government entity issues a warrant to pay an obligation. A registered warrant is when you don't have the funds to pay that obligation. And then, and this is in the memo, the clerk then, or the treasurer, whoever is the person that's handling that, writes not paid for lack of funds, and then you record the date, and the warrant begins drawing or accruing interest from that day forward, and then you register them in the sequence of how they may, be registered. I guess, in other words, July 1st. If it's on July 1st that one can't be paid, then it's registered as of July 1st. And if there's a different one on July 15th, it's registered as of July 15th. So what the statute says is that the county, if it has money that it doesn't have an immediate need for, it can basically purchase those registered warrants. And it used to be, the statute used to be that it did school districts, other county entities or municipalities that are located within the county, and it did not include hospital districts. So there was an attorney general opinion in the 90s that said you can't do hospital districts. Well, since then, they changed the statute so that you can purchase a registered warrant for a hospital district. Okay. So keep in mind, this is not a loan. This is basically you're investing in and buying debt that the hospital district couldn't pay. And then you assign whatever interest rate you want. At the time you buy it, you're not required to say that there's a repayment plan of 5 years or 10 years or whatever. It's basically that entity, the hospital district, when it has money, it can begin paying off that warrant all or in part. Does that make sense? And then you just draw it down. So think of it like you're investing in some business that has some bad debt that they can't pay, but you think that there's a future for that business, so you invest in them by buying their debt, giving them the revenue, and then over time they have the ability to pay off, or they don't, and then you may own all or part of that business. So that's what a registered warrant is. Generally, the way that works, and there's not a ton of detail in the statute. It's in 7.6.2701 and then going back to 2601. But the way that works is that you generally have that, you identify that debt or that warrant that's registered, and then you say, I'm going to buy this. So with that in mind, I just got handed a couple of documents from Mr. Hopstead that their lawyer did. One of them is a loan agreement. And I don't think a loan agreement is appropriate for this, but the other one's an investment agreement. And you could do an investment agreement so long as a couple things. One, the hospital district has to be the one that agrees to this, right? Because they have a separate board. And one of the things we need to clear up is that there are two separate boards here. There's a board of directors for the hospital district, that they're funded by the hospital district, by all the taxpayers within that area. And it's not the entire county, but it doesn't go outside the county. They own the facility, they care for the facility, etc. There's a separate board for THS, the nonprofit entity. Mr. Kearns a minute ago, I'm not sure what you said, if you meant to say that the hospital district board hires the administrator, but they don't. Hospital district board doesn't run the hospital, they run the facility. So you've got two different boards that would have to agree to this. You have the THS board plus the hospital district board, well, three, the board of county commissioners would have to agree to it. So I have two concerns on this that I put on page 2. One is, you've got to look at the current debt that the hospital district has. To do this, you're asking them to agree to go to this level that they can't pay for. So one, their current creditors may get worried about that and want to pull in all their debt. So they would have to communicate with their creditors saying, this is a plan, this is not something where we are suddenly unable to service our existing loans, okay? Because otherwise, they could say, in their loan agreements, if they need assurances, if they're going to meet their obligations, and if suddenly they look like they're not going to, those other creditors could say, pay us everything now rather than over the next 3 or 5 or 10 years. That needs to be addressed, and that hospital district board has to make that decision as a board. Secondly, I think that the county, if you look at this as an investment, then I would recommend you talk to your experts on investment. I believe we have a county board of investment. And I would say, why don't we ask them? Now, on one hand, I understand this CD, that the idea is to cash in a CD that's getting very low interest rate and do it's not a loan, but it's a different investment at a higher interest rate. So that in itself may look more promising. Question is, there's always risk associated with that. Does the county want to put itself in a position where they are actually owning the hospital and running the hospital, where it's not a separate entity, it's a county-owned and run hospital? I hope the answer is no, because I can't imagine the headaches involved with that. So I would recommend that you talk to your investment experts on this and get their recommendation, get them to look at the financials, and I recommend you talk to the public or listen to the public. But the short answer is yes, you can legally do this through the registered warrant process. Secondly, I think you should do a lot of looking before you leap, because the downside of the hospital closing is significant for the county. I think we all agree on that. The downside on $1 million that can't be repaid, I think, is also significant for the county, and I'm sure the voters would agree. So those are my initial thoughts. I'll answer any questions that you want.
Go ahead, Shirley.
I have a question about the article in the paper, and it said that you had repaid $2.5 million. Is that due to hospital cash flow, donations, mill levy? What was the source of that income to repay that amount?
The source was actually through operational income. So the income that we generated from 2012, November 2012, we collected about $80,000 for that month. So our average collections now per month is about $500,000 to $600,000. It varies month-to-month basis. I don't know if people realize, but back in 2012, we were on COD. We had to pay anything that came through that door was on demand collection. We're not there now. In fact, we do have a line of credit with lending institution through MBAC as well, and that has been paid off. The accounts payables have been paid off. So we're in really good stead throughout our operations. What really kind of threw us for a loop is that period of time between December and May, where we lost about $60,000 to $50,000 a month from the nursing home low occupancy levels. And that's what has just, the board saw this happening, that we've got to do something different. And so coming back to the county and saying, hey, we need to right size our facility, the market's changed. We need to do a bridge loan process. So we really have paid off, that paper was 2.6, I think. But we've really paid off $2.8 million through operations over the last 4.5 years. And we'd be happy to talk to any of the of your people that are involved, D.A. Davison or wherever they are, to show them what we've done and how we have confidence that that $1 million loan will be paid back in 5 years. We've lined up our payment mechanism is it's about $16,500 per month to $17,000. Once the dollars are drawn down, and we have one of the county commissioners now who are on that attends all of our board meetings, as well as many of the district members, so they know where we're at on a financial basis, on a month-to-month basis, so that'd be great. More involved, better.
Do you still have a line of credit available?
Yes.
Is there a reason why you're not relying on that for this bridge period?
Interest rate, 6.5% versus 3%.
Is it capped less than, what's the cap at?
The cap is at 900,000. We have another 400,000 that we're not using and don't intend to use. But I think that the issue is there's about a $500,000 loss between December and now. And then when you go to make that transition into a 25-bed critical access facility, you're bridging another 3 to 6 months of revenues that you're not going to get until an interim cost report is completed by Medicare. And it just takes 3 to 6 months to make that transition. And we don't have that cushion. But on the other hand, that we're really excited about is Dr. Kenny, our new physician, is just plain gung-ho. Tammy Chambers, our nurse practitioner, Jill LeBlanc, our PA, and Greg Sears, our PA. They've been with us now for about, off and on, for about 2 years. And we just don't have there's not a better staff anywhere in the state. And so we're really excited about the prospects of everybody in this room finally coming to keep their health care at home, because we can take care of you. And that's what will make the big difference in this whole thing.
Dwayne Hole. Isn't that what got shut down? The hospital part?
No,
What was it when the hospital got shut down?
the hospital didn't get shut down, but the nursing home did.
It sure as heck did.
No, it didn't, sir. You're incorrect.
Well, I might be incorrect, but it got tore way down. They wouldn't issue for doctors or anything in there?
No.
What's the deal on that?
What's the deal on what? I'm not sure I know what you're
On
asking.
when the hospital went kaput?
Well,
What,
you-
2000?
did you want an answer, or did you want to keep on talking?
About 2011 is when this happened. So what are we doing, trying to go back to the same thing that goofed it all up?
That's wrong too.
According to you, everything is wrong. Common sense is wrong. Thank you.
Tony Simonson, what the hospital, they're making a big shift from the way they're gonna do business now. If I'm wrong, just step in anytime. And how they operate the hospital nursing home. The nursing home actually will become part of the hospital, is that correct? And so and there's a lot to this, and if anybody in the state can explain it clearly, they're a better man than I. But the revenue generated from the cost reimbursement from Medicare, Medicaid will be different for the hospital than it is the nursing home. And that's how I think in fact, he probably got the graph, he said, yeah. That'll explain how this works. It's really hard
You
to
can talk about
to
this and
explain.
talk about this.
Yeah.
We went through this a little bit last meeting. So right now, Medicare's involvement with our whole facility is about 16%. And the nursing home actually has to carry 84% of the cost of the facility year to year. And what we're recommending is Medicare will take on 100% of this building, not just 16%. And from that, it will lessen our